And additional bonus, and we haven't done this in what? How many years since it's been on the regular body of the show? And excited to have it back. Woohoo! A little Free Farm Friday action. All right, everybody sing along at home.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life
For me, land spread out so far and wide.
Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay. I just adore a
Penthouse view.
Darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue.
All right, everybody. The chores.
The stores.
Fresh air.
Times Square.
You be my wife.
Goodbye, city life.
Green Acres, we are there.
All right, a Free Farm Friday episode. I've got the band is back together. The original Brian K, the old farmer, Mitter Monday are both on the Dude Maker hotlines. And I don't even know what we're going to talk about, so let's go. Let's welcome Brian K. What has it been, 16, 17 years?
18 and a half.
Hey, the audience approves. We have missed you, buddy. How are you? And how's the wife and how's the kids?
We're good. We're good. Just into everything. It's really busy. We're actually babysitting a Jersey right now, and today's the last day. But Suzanne's been getting up and milking every day for the past week and a half.
Wow.
So, are you getting the benefit of getting the milk?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have to tell you. Let's start with this, and we'll bring Mitter Monday in just a second here. There's a farm about 10 miles from here, run by a family called the Sinagras. And Louisiana passed a law last year to make legal the sale of raw milk. But you have to label it that it's not for human consumption. It's only for pets, right? No one took the law up on it until like 3 months ago. Maggie comes home from the store, and she goes, "You're not going to believe what they have at Beatico." And I said, I made some joke about something stupid. And she goes, "No, it's even better than that." And she whips out of the bag, and it says, "Raw Milk, Sinagra Farms." And this is not the bleached white stuff either. This stuff's got a little bit yellow, kind of green hue to it. And so we start drinking the Sinagra Farms raw milk. And I haven't been a milk drinker, Brian, in so long, probably since I was a young man. One taste of the one glass, she goes, "Just try it." And I tried it. I was like, "Oh, it almost tastes like it has sugar in it. It's so good. It's so good." So I'm hooked. I'm drinking raw milk. Yes, my church is drinking raw cow's milk with every meal now. And I've never felt better and been healthier. And I absolutely love it. I know it's not for everyone, but we have raw milk coming back into stores. That is a major improvement over when Free Farm Friday started, brother, 5 years ago.
Oh yeah. We are growing. All of us together. I just sent you a couple of pictures of another project I just finished up. My grass-finished steer, and just looking at the meat grades and stuff, I'm thinking he finished high choice. And on grass, for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, I think that's pretty good. So,
you know what you're doing. Where'd you send the pictures? I don't see them. An email?
Do what? Sorry, you have to. I didn't hear you, Mike.
Where'd you send the pictures?
I send it to your Signal.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me get those. And while I'm looking to get those pictures, let me talk to Mitter Monday, the old farmer. You got any raw milk up where you are in Jersey?
Oh, no, I've told you, Mike, I get my raw milk delivered weekly from an Amish farmer who I still cannot figure out how he can sell in New Jersey, but I certainly don't want to ask the question, because if I ask the question, other people might ask questions. But no, I get raw I'll tell you, if you can get it, and it's usually very seasonal, if you can get fresh, real cow colostrum, you want to have your gut re-energized, get that.
What's colostrum? Tell our listeners, what's colostrum?
Oh, colostrum is the initial milk that will come out of a mammal to nourish the baby, give it antibodies, and its first protections, enzymes, its own digestive tract. So it's the first milk that a mother gives, and that goes for humans too. That gets the baby ready to be out of the womb. So it's really good stuff. You wouldn't say, well, it tastes like milk, but I mean, it's good.
So a lot of MAHA stuff has actually happened since last time the band was together. Let me bring Brian Kay back in on this. Brian, one of the things that we were seeing, and I saw in one of their sane moments yesterday, Fox News actually did a nice report on this, of all the major companies that are just going like, okay, you got us. Phasing out petroleum-based dyes for number one. Maggie, what was the McCormick Spice Company had been apparently putting dyes in their spices, Brian, and they have pledged, okay, petroleum-based dyes, and they said that we're going to phase it out. Now, they say it's going to take us 2 years. I don't know why. Who was the other company, Maggie, that took the dye out and for something that was pink, and they were using FTC red number 3, and they're using beets now.
They were talking about General Mills.
General Mills. So not only are we seeing local and regional farmers bringing milk and in some cases meat, and certainly a lot of regenerative farming vegetables back to market, Brian, the big companies, the big ag companies, are being forced into basically trying to, basically into removing a lot of the poison that is in the food supply and take it out, which to me is an admission of guilt.
Yeah, it's that, and people are tired of feeling like crap and realizing it's the food that's making them sick. And, when people are tired of it, they voice, they're able to, fortunately, people are listening, and that's what's been needed for a long time.
How far do you think we are? What kind of progress? And you would know about this more because you work for the state of Texas still. So maybe you're seeing this. How far do you think we have, or what kind of progress do you think we have made in what you and I and Mitter Mundy and all of us have been talking about for 5 years now? That this is always our food supply, Brian, has always been an educational project. You said that from the get-go. It's all about education. Do you think that the education has started to sink in, and we have far more people now, five years on, or that are educating themselves about what they eat and who makes it than we had before?
Oh yeah. It's. I mean, I'm going out in some of these farms where the farmers I'm trying to get away from, this chemical. I'm trying to get away from chemical fertilizers. I'm trying to get away from, these different things. I went to a field day. Oh gosh, it's been a couple months now, but he was, it was biochar. They're doing, looking at biochar as a crop amendment. And what the biochar does, it's basically charcoal that's charged with a nutrient, fertilizer, and it holds it there and it builds the carbon in the soil, and it actually sucks more carbon out of the atmosphere. It allows it through the plants. And so you're building soil health that way. So you can still do some of the plowing and some of the other stuff that sometimes you just might need to do, but you're not using so many chemicals, and you're actually soaking in more water. And I think for my job, our agency, we help farmers and ranchers reduce agriculture non-point source pollution. So we're basically helping farmers and ranchers help reduce runoff pollution.
Okay.
Well, things like that are key for what we're trying to do. But in turn, you have positives of healthier food. You can probably start getting away from a lot of the GMOs and everything. I talked to the same farmer, and he says, if I could, on some of this lease land, if I could grow some more of these heirloom corns and heirloom, vegetables. I don't want to be a corn and cotton guy. I want to do more things. But right now, this is what I'm having to pay the bills to get to that point. So it's happening, and people are starting to realize, hey, there's a lot of things that we're told that aren't really right.
They weren't true.
Yeah, no, no, and it starts, with teaching of evolution. Well, everybody is taught, well, things will change. Well, if evolution was real, soil biology wouldn't be what it is. Because how can you go to a place that's been burned out and just dismantled by ag chemicals and tillage and just other abuse, and then you start recovering, and then that soil biology is the same as it was before, it was destroyed. It shouldn't it have turned to something else by then to take all that abuse?
You'd think.
With as fast as those generations do, and remember, I'm still a biologist, so I even know what a woman is. So, there's some backup to that. So anyway, that's just, some of the things I'm observing and understanding. So.
Okay, there's something else that I think is underway as well, Brian, and that is, and Minter Monday, you've been talking about this for a long time, and it's one of the things that we talk about frequently, and that is the terminology, and that the bad guys will try and seize the terminology, and like organic. They're all about organic now. You're starting, though, now to see just small signs, little indicators, if you will, that the term regenerative has now made its way into the lexicon. The term regenerative now kind of means something. And I think that you got to keep an eye on this. You have good people now, at least making their way into and trying to take back over the USDA and the FDA. So hopefully there would be someone, some of the people that we know, the Will Harrises and the others, that would tell them, no, that's not regenerative what that guy is doing.
Well, that's all true, Mike. I think one of the times in the last couple months I talked about a trip I took with my company, since even though we make pet food, they're up to Rodale, the Rodale farms up there, and even I didn't realize there were this many levels in USDA now, where you got your organic, you got regenerative organic, and where they come up with these terms and policies and the little shields you can put on your product if you comply.
Right.
I did not go to this next one, but our director of sustainability, he sent me some stuff, and I asked him for more detail on it. He went to something that ConAgra put on that we sent representatives to, because we like to pretend that we're socially conscious, and I say that with all due disrespect to my own company. That they were showing them monoculture and glyphosate and calling it, we can do this in a regenerative manner.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree. There's more people getting conscious of it. There's more people going to farmers markets. There's more people who are conscious of it, but who are not willing to take the time it takes. They don't want to go to 6 places during the week to get their food. So they'll compromise. But there's also a whole group of people in corporate America who want to learn about it superficially, but really do not. So again, we have to be very conscious and careful of what we're looking at, and where you're getting it from, what you're sourcing, and what the company's telling you it's doing.
Okay, so let me switch just a slight gear here and kind of pivot just a little bit. There is something out there in popular media that is happening, and I think that it is it's kind of one of those things. Almost like, now, Dan, you and I are old enough. Brian is not quite as old as or as wise as us, or as gray as us. But you will remember that a simple film, 2 of them, Saturday Night Fever put disco on the map and gave us disco. The movie, then Urban Cowboy, made cowboys, city and urban cowboys out of tens of millions of Americans. Cowboy hats were in style. Dance, second line dance clubs opened up, or 2-step dance clubs opened up. People were wearing Western shirts, and it lasted for a couple of years. So popular culture can have an impact. I'm not saying it's negative or positive. And I think you might have said we should watch this show. Well, Maggie has done the binge on it. And the show, Clarkson's Farm. Now, folks, I cannot vouch for Jeremy Clarkson's language. If the F-bomb offends you and you can't tolerate it, don't watch the show. You won't get past the first 10 minutes of the first episode. If you can just just fast forward past wherever he is. Dan, first of all, he's just an oaf, but he's a funny guy. But he's always thinking in this kind of creative sense, and I think, and I'll bring Brian in on this too. Brian, you have to kind of be creative to be a farmer. Right, Brian? You can't just sit still. You're always. You may not think that you're an artist, but you really are. If you're trying to survive and be regenerative, well, Jeremy Clarkson gets introduced to the term in the first season. The guy tells him, "No, we're not doing it. We're not doing organic. We're doing regenerative." And he had to convince Jeremy Clarkson. Maggie, what was it? Wheat with what was the cover crop that he? Beans. He planted the cover crop of beans with the wheat. And he said, he goes, "No, you're not tilling. We're going to disc the soil and drop the seeds, and you're going to see." And he goes, "If we do this for years, you're going to have the healthiest soil here in all of England." And sure enough, the last harvest that he had of wheat was the healthiest that he's ever had. So that show, and it's in England, set in England, Clarkson's Farm, and it's popular. That show is actually doing, Brian and Dan, regenerative farming.
Yeah, well, remember he came out of Top Gear. He was the Top Gear guy that got ousted.
Now, what was Top Gear?
That was that
the car show. The car show.
Yeah. That's he got ousted for some reason. Like he said something like Papa John or whatever, and they got rid. As though he could say something worse than his normal language. He got ousted for some reason because he went off on somebody. I think he hit somebody, whatever, and they ousted him from the show. So he said, "The heck with it. I'm going to take my money." That's where he started. That's and went out and bought the farm. He said, "I have no idea what I'm doing," which was evident if you watch the show. It's very good. And he's learned a lot. He promotes a lot. It's a great show.
Dahlberger saying he punched a producer. Brian K., I want to go to you. It's just what you've always said, though. It's learning. Because they tell him, "No, this is going to happen." He goes, "Well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it anyway." Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it is an art. Farming is an art form.
You've got to be adaptive, and you've got to be willing to innovate. And I think you look at a lot of the regenerative guys, and I've been following them for almost 10 years now, and seeing. I know a guy up the road here in Wharton that does the high intensity grazing, but he travels a lot. He actually is a teacher for Ranching for Profit, which is a group that tries to get people to make more money ranching and stuff. But so he's on the road a lot, but he still needs to move those cows a couple of times a day. So he's come up with stuff. These bat latch gates on a air timer where when the air runs out, it pops and the gate opens and the cows move. And he's able to achieve those moves without being there. And so, it's little things like that, and just thinking of what, just shortcuts and just different things that, when you get into a conventional mindset, especially like in pasture situations, a lot of times you're tied to set fence lines and just, things that make you do things over and over the same way. When you're adaptive, you can use electric fence, and that electric fence is a lot more mobile than a barbed wire fence. And so you could, if you need to graze an area heavier or lighter or rest it, whatever, there's that innovation there. And that's what a lot of people are learning from each other. And, I'm talking about that steer I just finished. I did it on less than 3 acres. And so it's, the scalability, the innovation, all the stuff is there for anybody to really do it.
Could you have done it on less than 3? Could you have done more than one on the 3 acres, or were you maxed out at 1 cow per 3 acre?
Actually, I would have preferred to have 3 about that same size. Okay. Just to keep up with the grass.
Let me update our listeners, Brian, because they're not in our signal chat and they don't know what we're talking about. Brian got a cow. What breed was it?
It was we had the first set of heifers I did, the heavy Jersey one. She had Jersey, Wagyu, and Brangus, and she jumped the fence on her first heat cycle and got bred by the Angus bull across the fence, and that was the calf. And he was a black Angus bull. The mom was Jersey, and he came out red and brindle. real pretty cow. Well, anyway, I raised them up from a calf.
Brian K. from Wharton, Texas, and the home of Buc-ee's, by the way, and Mr. Dan Mundy, the old farmer. Brian, I finally got pictures because people like him pictures.
It's Friday.
Up in the chat room of your steak. Yes, I know it's Friday, so we can't have any today, but we can look forward to having some tomorrow. So I think the first pick I put in there is a ribeye, and the second one is a T-bone or on the border of becoming a porterhouse. That cow's got a lot of marbling, and you finished it on grass. That kind of destroys the cowboy urban legend, doesn't it? That you got to feed them grain in order to marble them and fatten them up?
It does. It blows it out of the water. But what else? I mean, what else did cows get fat on? And before they were domesticated. So,
well, tell our listeners out there. Okay, it took what 3 years to raise that cow, or 2 years?
A little over 2 years.
And your investment was how many dollars you estimate?
I fencing material and time and effort. Oh gosh, I'd say around $500-600.
Yeah. And then you paid a butcher to butcher that cow. And how many pounds did you get out of it?
I got. So the hanging weight is what they charge by, and that was 734 pounds. So the cow live was 1,200 basically. So that was the percentage. You take about 60% of the live weight to get your hanging weight. So that's 734. And then after it hung for 2 weeks, the yield was like 550 pounds.
And that then, if you add it all together, your 500 some odd pounds of meat came in at about what, $6 a pound, a little less than $6 a pound.
If you took the total weight, the processing was $234 a pound, and so I would probably say about $6 a pound.
And folks, that's what you get if you have the land to do it, to raise your own meat, and you know where it came from.
And when raising him, I'm following those 5 soil health principles that we follow in growing food. So, and I made sure before I got cows, I was at a point to where I knew I could raise them pretty healthily, on healthy soil. So, my whole management is the soil.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep that soil biology there. All this good food is the byproduct of that. And that's what we need. That's the whole thing with regenerative, is focusing on that resource of the soil. So, you can't just show up one day on a pasture with some auction barn steers or heifers or whatever and expect to get to that point. You've got to build your soils, but those cows are the tools that help you build those soils. And the other animals.
They made a documentary about this called Sacred Cow.
Yeah, that, and there's a group out there called Understanding Ag, which is Alan Williams, Gabe Brown, and a bunch of really top-notch soil health people that go around and teach people how to turn their farms to regenerative. And Alan Williams is one of the premier grass finishers in the world. And I'll send it to you, but he just I just listened to a deal on how he grass finishes, and everything he did, I did. But I've studied it and everything. But you get in those rabbit holes and you start learning that, and it all comes together.
It's an amazing story, Brian. Brian K. from Wharton, Texas, and he works as a biologist for the state of Texas. All right, Mr. Mundy, let me bring Mr. Mundy in because I know he's champing at the bit. You raised, you haven't done cows, but you did do some pigs, and you sent me I guess you did some lamb too, because I got ground lamb and I got a pork shoulder. Well, I'm going to tell you that we mixed the ground lamb with some fresh ground beef that we bought locally, and made burgers out of it. And it was so good, I couldn't tell you. Usually, a lamb's got a little bit of a kick to it. I couldn't tell where the beef ended and the lamb began. That's one thing. And then that pork butt, I roasted it on my egg for about 8 hours. And we were eating pulled pork for 4 days, and it was some of the best pulled pork we ever had. So I know that you grew both of those animals, and boy, did they taste good.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, manager, because I just sent Maggie a photo, if she wants to get it up, from somebody who bought pork from me. You can take a look at it, because I've shown it to some people and various things. They think it's beef. I call it my Wagyu pork. Now, pigs, are omnivores. You can't strictly pasture them. You can let, they like to forage. There's no question about it.
Sure.
But you can't just put them out on Brian can have the best grass in the world. You can't grow a pig on it. A pig is an omnivore. So you have to be supplementing. You have to, give it an opportunity. But letting pigs out into the woods where they can find nuts and all kinds of other things in the ground is absolutely wonderful. I cannot do that because I just don't have the infrastructure. Pigs tend to be a little more aggressive in trying to keep it within a boundary. Unless you feed them really well. So, but I do, so they are contained. I do move them around a bit. They're good at clearing areas out, and they, and I not only do I give them some, commercial feed. No, not organic, just not with any kind of necessary supplements or antibiotics or anything like that. But a lot of things that I give them is
that looks like steak.
Yeah,
it looks like red meat.
It's a big slice. It's a big slice out of a pork shoulder. So you can zoom in on that. Look at the marbling on that, because I give them a lot of. You say it's not organic. I get a good bread supply from a restaurant. I can't figure out how they make money. It's an Italian restaurant. I get 3, 4, 5, 6 garbage bags of bread a week. So that's how, I guess you don't want to walk in and say, can I have a sandwich? And they don't want to say they're out of bread. But, you look at, so they get a lot of bread, and I get a lot of vegetables from a local food bank that are all going off. So they get a lot of that kind of extra stuff, and that's what you get, what you see there. So, when it comes to trying to use, if you say, well, I don't got a lot of land, I don't got this, I don't got that, you seek out some sources. You can find some good stuff to feed the animals other than just going to the feed store and buying grain. I love my
beer.
Feed store.
If you got somebody who's making beer nearby, they can't do anything. Yeah. There's nothing they can do with that grain, but they can give it to you, and you can feed it to pigs. Brian, maybe you can get maybe Brian K can get some beer grain from the Spetzel Brewery.
I'm sure they've been tapped out. Someone's probably taking advantage of that.
Mitter Monday, you were saying?
Oh, yeah, I'll get that when I can get it. I do have some friends that do some bigger brewing. You get it when you get it. People always think of me. Who wants this stuff I'm going to throw away? I'll call Dan. There's a place near me, a small cheese factory. We can go up there and get 55-gallon drums of cheese whey. Milk whey. They love that. Oh, God, they slurp that up like it's like you and I slurp other things. So there's lots of good things you can get them to supplement and give them a variety of food, and that's what you get. What I've sent you for sampling is what you get.
Let's wrap up with this because I got Magdalene calling in just a little bit here, and it's been a great to get the band back together. Let's make sure we schedule another Free Farm Friday so we can tackle another topic, and there are lots of them to tackle, Brian and Dan. But let's close on this. And Dan, since you talked about it, I didn't get a chance to talk to Brian about it. So Brian, steak and what's it called? I forget. Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake announced in January they were going to tallow to fry their fries in. No major chain has made the jump yet, and that may be because of the expense of tallow. But as Dan pointed out when he was on, and I'm sure you can share a little bit of knowledge about this as well. The tallow is the byproduct of butchering the cow. So they're doing something with it right now. They're just not turning it into oil. Are you seeing any of the people that you know in Texas and the ranchers and farmers that you know even talking about rendering the tallow down as fat to fry food in again?
There's a few people, and I know more people are asking for it now whenever they get a steer butchered. So a lot of times, if you get your own, if you custom graze it and you send it to the butcher, you have to ask them. And we were able to get all the suet and fat from this steer we raised. And I probably got, oh gosh, you ever seen a brisket in the package?
Oh, yes.
Full brisket.
Yep.
I had 5 packages about that size of fat and everything.
So you'll have to render that yourself.
Yeah, we render it ourselves, which we would rather do because we can do whatever we want with it. Because we use it to cook with, but we also use for skin creams and I'm going to polish my boots with it, type thing. So and so that's what's happening. That they just when tallow went away from so much in food, it shifted to other industrial and products and things, and so. And right now we have to think about how low the U.S. beef herd. It's as low as it's like an all-time low since like the 1960s. So
I saw this the other day. I saw the guy who is president of the American Cattle Ranchers Association, or I think that's what it was. He said that the herd level right now is the lowest it's been since 1958.
The problem with those big beef conglomerates is they don't care about that because they want to import beef. They don't care about they've been it's like anything. They've been infiltrated by big dollars, and all they care about is making money. So your beef checkoffs and everything. So, but they're right. He's going back to his point. They're right. The beef herd's at lowest. So right now, that steer I raised, I could have taken him to the auction barn and probably gotten, let's see, 1,200 times 4, that much money, because that's what a feeder steer like that's getting at the auction barn right now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's insane. It's good for the ranchers because they're finally getting the prices for all the work they're putting in. But if you're trying to build a herd right now, because some heifers go to be some of your lower, people will set heifers back for, breeding back and everything. But it's right now is not a time to build a herd. And so it's going to remain low until those prices level back out again. So people can purchase more, mama cows and stuff to start building their herds. And plus, we've been in major drought in the major cattle growing areas in the United States for the better part of 5 years. So that weighs in on too. So you have herd liquidations and everything else too on top of that.
The drought has ended. Most of it.
Well, no, I mean you look out at certain places it's better than it has been, but you still look at Texas Hill Country and parts of South Texas. They're still in D4 drought even after all the rain they got. You heard the flooding in San Antonio last week and everything. Right. That's how far behind they are. I mean, they're at 1950. 1950 was the drought record in Texas before 2011, and they're at 1950 levels on aquifers and all that stuff. So
we still need more rain. Okay.
Yeah.
Midter Monday.
Pray for rain in areas.
Pray for rain. Midter Monday, we're going to have to wrap this up, but I'll be interested to hear your final comments today.
Well, I only thing I would put it with this, we're all doing this on this small scale. Guys, go out and support the local people who are getting you the feeders and the chicks and your poults. I mean, I had trouble getting turkeys this year. My own fault, a little late looking for them. And a lot of the bigger places were all sold out, or I couldn't get them on the dates that I want them. So I went sourcing, and I found a place out here in Pennsylvania. It's almost close enough to drive to, but then opposed to paying the shipping, but not quite. So I didn't go get them. Small Christian family. They started up a side business. They're raising. I just got my first load of turkeys. They are some of the best poults I've seen in years. seek out local people. It's one thing to say, I'm going to get a cow or two. Well, you got to get the feeder from somewhere unless you're going to start breeding.
You can pay somebody to raise a cow for you. I know a guy.
Well, no, but you need somebody who's going to be breeding for you. I go out to buy our buddy there, Mr. B person there, and his farm neighbor is where I've been getting my pigs the last few years, and they've been really great. But you got to support these local people that are doing it, so you have something to get. It's not just.
Right.
Not just I raised a cow. Well, somebody's got to breed it. Unless you're gonna carry the expense and the burden of breeding them, you got to have somebody doing it for you. So seek those people out if this is what you want to do.
Sounds good. Well, look, we'll pick this up in a couple of weeks, Brian. Great to have you back. God bless. Best and hugs and kisses to the kids and the wife. And let's pick this up again in a couple of weeks.
That sounds good, Mike. God bless y'all, and I'll be thinking of y'all when I'm eating my fried turtle tonight.
You bastard. You had to stick it in the eye and grind it, didn't you? Okay, man.